Around 10 years ago, I had the privilege of travelling around Chile with some Chilean colleagues, examining children in schools for the blind. And what we found, to our surprise, was that a high proportion of these children were blind from a condition called retinopathy of prematurity.
Boing and boing. Mirar. Mirar es boing. Loing.
This is a condition which only affects babies who are born prematurely and who are looked after in intensive neonatal care services.
La atención que se prestaba en Venezuela con respecto al problema de la ORP era insignificantemente mínimo. Ya a partir de 3 años para esta fecha, el interés para el manejo de los pacientes que tienen riesgo para la ROP ha tomado un interés diferente, interés que se ha traducido por la cooperación que empezamos a tener de organizaciones como la CBM, que ha prestado colaboración.
Solo que no los tiene.
Carito.
En esta dirección estarían los ojitos.
Carito, yo
Dime.
Quiero ver la cabecita.
¿La estás tocando, mi amor?
Ay, yo alcanzo mucho a él.
Sí. ¿Y tienes las orejitas?
Uy, ¿y los oí? ¡Yesilín, no te montes ahí!
Se le cae el cuello al pobre rinoceronte.
Están en el cuello.
Claro, pero
Mira,
si te metes ahí,
con
se
esto,
cae allá.
Mira, con esto, el cuando va a morder un animal, él saca el colmillo y le hace daño con esto.
Lo hieres.
Como esto lo tiene afiladito, así, él le hace una herida al animal y se lo come.
A su presa.
Sí. Uy, ¿cuál es su presa? Vamos a darle hipopótamo. ¡Ay, Carol! La jirafa flaca.
A través de los bienhechores se les concedía anualmente una experiencia de visita a un safari.
Flaquísima. No hay.
Esta experiencia, por supuesto, tenía que ser descrita por la persona que veía. Y describía tal animal es así, en este momento estamos viendo que tiene patas, que tiene plumas, que tiene... Pero esas descripciones eran muy abstractas. En una de esas descripciones, una de las chicas se molestó y dijo, qué divertido este viaje, venir aquí a que otros vean y nos cuenten y nosotras no sabemos lo que estamos viendo. ¿El cuello?
¡Ay, qué es esto!
Eso hizo que al regreso, una de las hermanas, en compañía de un grupo de bienhechores, diseñaran este complejo de parque.
Ya toqué un toro. Dame la mano, Ray. Ya toqué un toro. Uy, y yo le pegué.
When we started this project, we couldn't find not even one note in our clinical records about this condition. And now we see many patients with this kind of disease. And those patients in the past, they were living after being born very low weight. They were living, but now they are blind. So they were neglected by the society.
After of difficult process, I like the school. I love J.K. Rowling, the writer that write Narnia's Chronic, Gabriel García Márquez, Isabel Allende, and the tales. I love the tales. Green's Brothers. Yes, I love it. I want to be a lawyer because I think that the people needs a person that can fight with they.
And do you find it very difficult not being able to see?
Sometimes it's very difficult because sometimes it is an impediment for going to any places. We want to go to the beach, walk for the street, go to the store, go to the cinema, and dance, and see TV. But In the finally, it's a good experience because you learn to see the world of the other form.
Y en el caso tuyo, ¿qué es lo peor?
Bueno, bueno, yo pienso que si yo veo un poquito, yo pienso que si yo no viera, lo peor sería que a veces a ti las personas en la calle, por ser invidente, a veces te rechazan y sienten como que, ay, este es un invidente, ay, aléjatele, o sea, como que así. Y piensan que a veces fingen y a veces no te ayudan, pero a veces también tienen sus cosas buenas.
¿Cuáles?
Porque...
primero en una cola.
Bueno, que yo pienso que ser invidente tiene sus cosas buenas, porque a veces las personas que ven no ven con los ojos del corazón como ven las personas que invidentes.
¿Qué dirías que pudieras decir tú si hay algo bueno?
Sí,
¿Sí? ¿Qué cosa?
que yo pienso que los invidentes, o sea, las muchas personas que ven siempre se guían como por la apariencia.
Ajá.
Entonces nosotros como invidentes nos guiamos por los sentimientos.
Bye.
Cuidado.
Que se pueda quitarse los miedos, sacarlos afuera, pintarse la cara, color esperanza, tentar al futuro con el corazón. Es mejor perderse que nunca embarcar, mejor tentarse a dejar de intentar, aunque ya ves que no es tan fácil empezar. Sé que lo imposible se puede lograr, que la tristeza algún día se irá, y así será, la vida cambia y cambiará, sentirás el alma vuela.
¡Vete el pantalón! ¡Claro, que este pantalón no es allá!
Vente arriba, la cara. Te vas a subir, te vas a bajar.
We're looking here at a model of the human eye. We're here, ironically, in the blind school in Caracas, and this is the shelf taken from the shelf in the biology department. We've just seen a number of girls with blinding diseases that could have easily been avoided, including the disease called retinopathy of prematurity, that is growing to epidemic proportions, particularly here in Latin America. With this disease, if it's not treated in the very tiny, short window of opportunity, a matter of perhaps 2 weeks, then forever the retina is destroyed. Before we are born, the retina develops at a very dramatic pace, starting perhaps 16 weeks after conception, when blood vessels begin to grow into the retina through this opening at the back of the eye. And it takes right up until term for this process to be finished. But if you arrive early in the world, and particularly more than 10 weeks early, the process stops very far posteriorly in the retina. And you're left with a very large area of retina which is screaming for oxygen and nutrition, but there are no blood vessels there to feed it. And a complex process then begins where the retina tries to heal itself. And at the junction of the area of retina with normal blood vessels and the area with none, abnormal blood vessels grow with great vigor, and bleeding, scarring, contraction of tissues, leading to total destruction of the retina an irretrievable loss of vision, total loss of vision in many cases. With a very simple laser treatment to the area of retina that has not developed, the disease can be stopped and a child can have a normal life with normal sight.
ROP in Vietnam is quite different in other developed country because we in the developed country ROP did not see in very big and more mature baby, but in Vietnam we even saw severe ROP in bigger and more mature baby. For example, 1,800 grams can be blind due to ROP. 34 weeks gestation also can be have a severe ROP and can be blind.
In the big babies that this is occurring in developing countries, it's a sign that their overall quality of neonatal care is not optimal.
Meaning we have a lot of difficulty because as a neonatologists, they don't understand things about ROP, and even ophthalmologists not much knowledge about ROP.
Ways of preventing retinopathy of prematurity are extremely cheap and fantastically cost effective. Giving antenatal steroids when there's going to be a preterm birth is an extremely effective and cheap and cost effective therapy and should be given whenever possible. Monitoring oxygen is relatively cheap compared with everything else, and compared with caring for a child who is blind for a lifetime, it's incredibly cheap and very cost effective.
This condition can, to a very large extent, be prevented, and this requires very, very good neonatal care. In particular, very close and careful monitoring of babies if they're being given oxygen, because oxygen has been shown to be a very important factor in determining whether babies develop this condition.
We are in an ICU, and as you can see here, you see this white cable with, that's the machine that it just measures the exact amount of oxygen that the patient is receiving and is having. And as you can see here in the monitor, this line means the exact amount of oxygen that the patient is having.
I compare oxygen to sunlight. You know, sunlight is obviously good for us and we enjoy it, but we all know that sunlight can be harmful to us as well. So oxygen is exactly the same. We need oxygen to keep us alive, but we can have too much oxygen. We're breathing air, which is 21% oxygen. If you or I breathe 100% oxygen, we will feel unwell after 24 hours. This is because oxygen can cause some damage. We actually have a lot of defences in our body against this harm from oxygen. Very preterm babies have very few of these defences. Because all organs are immature, and particularly the lungs are immature, preterm babies are often given additional oxygen above 21%. But even 21% might be harmful for the preterm baby that's been quite comfortable in the womb at even a lower level of oxygen. So you can see that these preterm babies are very vulnerable to damage from oxygen. Indeed, many organs probably are damaged by oxygen. The lungs, the eyes, the brain, the gut can all be damaged by having the baby in extra oxygen, and so we need to control it very carefully.
This baby is at risk to be blind because we don't have the machine to measure the oxygen. We have just one oximeter in this service that is built by 30 beds. So we have just one to measure all babies, the pressure of oxygen. We know that this equipment is very, very important to treat the patients and to avoid the retinopathy of prematurity. So we don't have this equipment here. We have just one, and is used to the sickest baby that we have. But this is a sick baby. We don't have the machine, and this baby is in danger.
I really want that the authorities make this their own concern, because if there are national programs, this problem would be less. They don't recognize this type of problem because they say that maybe it's a small quantity of babies that they don't have the disease because they don't realize that there are a problem. But maybe if we have more awareness, the people, their own people, is going to say, if my baby is a premature, let's go and have an evaluation of the ophthalmologist.
If babies develop the early stages of the disease, it can be treated. But this means that ophthalmologists and eye doctors have to go to the premature baby units and examine the babies in order to find those that need the treatment.
The reason I got interested in retinopathy of prematurity is that I was receiving more and more babies blind due to ROP. And, as an ophthalmologist, I knew that something could be done. We could avoid in most kids, we could avoid the blindness. And I was doing this in my unit in Rio, but the whole group of units in the governmental sector of Rio de Janeiro, they were not doing anything at all. So lots of, at least 100 babies per year and needing treatment. And so I've decided to do something.
Bueno, se me controlé el embarazo, más no sé, como eran gemelas, me dicen que posiblemente era ese, como no tuve el control muy a fondo, o sea, cuestiones económicas y eso.
This little baby girl already had sepsis, but she survived. She had a lot of problems. And now, after she's alive, she went back to her mother, and we discovered that she had problems inside her eyes, in her retina. She has retinopathy of prematurity in a very advanced state. What we're going to do now is that since to CBN, we have a laser now that we're going to be using in this kid to try to save her eyesight.
Retinopathy of prematurity causes complete loss of vision if treatment is unsuccessful or if a child is not caught in time. And we are about to treat baby Blaze, a child from the state of Caracas who has severe threshold retinopathy of prematurity. It is critically important to identify these children at the very early stages of this disease. There is a very narrow window of opportunity in order to treat this. Treatment in this situation is usually very successful, and a child can have normal vision. But you miss that window by just a week, and the consequences can be disastrous. There are complex issues around anesthesia for these babies. These children are often very fragile. They often have very complex medical histories, and for any of us, general anesthesia is not without certain risks. So it's also possible to do this treatment using more gentle intervention, such as sedation and analgesia, which will work very well.
When you see a baby, a premature baby, and they come, then they was blind, and so I decided to do it, and I do it with my heart for the baby, and I love it.
If we don't do anything about the vision, they would be blind forever. There is no second opportunity.
There is a huge necessity to implement, to expand ROP programs, screening and treatment programs. And we've started this in many countries in Latin America. And after 4 years, 5 years of work, we are proving that it's possible to do in big countries, to do in smaller countries. We have to have teamwork. That's the key part.